A quick picture. Cindy snapped picture after picture, the shutter closing with its pleasant sound after each one. Beautiful hummingbirds bobbed and weaved, sipping at spring flowers in full bloom. All of it splotches of color on a green canvas that was untouched by humans this far off the trail. A rustle of leaves behind Cindy pulled her away from her subjects, and her smile dropped. A man stood tall and motionless against a small oak. Cindy heard the shudder of his camera as it captured her surprise. She stood incredibly still. The hummingbirds seemed to all have fled. The wind blew hard at her back as she faced him, as if it wanted her to stand closer to this man. No, this was no man. In a long black trench coat, he rose over 8 feet tall, with puffy white skin and no eyes, just holes. Smashed onto his head was a top hat, its seams stretched to bursting, struggling to contain the squishy mass. Its mouth was just an indent, a suggestion. Cindy tried to step back, but the wind pushed her from behind like a gust from a hurricane. The thing's shudder sounded again. The wind picked up to monumental speeds, a wall pushing her, flinging her forwards in choppy starts. Click! Cindy's feet threw dirt up as she tried to stop herself. Click! Cindy's panic rose. She clutched her camera tight to her chest, tears sliding down her cheek, her eyes squeezed shut as tight as possible. Then, there was no wind. The insects buzzed again, the hummingbirds sipped. Cindy opened her eyes and gasped. It was still there. It moaned oddly, then held its camera out and down to her. She held perfectly still, fear pinned her feet to the ground. With a fat mashed potato-like finger, it smooshed the buttons on the digital camera, cycling through the pictures it had taken. Cindy couldn't help but look. Fear turned to brief admiration. No one had ever taken candids of her before. The angle, the lighting, it was beautiful. Even as tears had run down her face and the wind pushed her along, she felt like she had never looked more photogenic. Like Marilyn Monroe. Cindy's voice was barely a whisper. Came the deep, throaty rumble from the hulking photographer. Cindy met his eye holes. A 3-fingered hand mimicked a thumbs up before pointing to the camera Cindy clutched. She noticed how much nicer the creature's camera was. Cindy blinked and extended her camera to him. It grumbled again. Cindy thought she heard "pretty" as it smashed the next button repeatedly, looking at her mini photos of birds. Then from the thing, a sound like wet canvas ripping as its mouth hole split in two, black fluid sputtering out of it and down its mush chin. With a clear voice now, like a deep-voiced child still learning to form words, it boomed, "Trade." Cindy, still terrified but admittedly intrigued, passed her camera to the creature. The photographer handed her his camera.
"Yeah, thank you. Good trade."
A massive squishy hand slapped down wetly on Cindy's back before the creature shuffled away and was soon enveloped by the dense forest growth. Cindy cycled through the pictures of herself. They were beautiful pictures.